Alright fellas, you're probably checking in just to see what turbo I will be running on my 8th gen Honda Civic R18 build. Well, in this video I'm going to break it down which turbo kit, which turbo setup, which parts you need to make the most budget and efficient turbo project. So a lot of turbo information on this video. Stay tuned for the entire video. I'm going to talk to you guys about the couple setups available for our Civics, couple direct bolt-ons, couple custom parts, turbo sizes, AR numbers, and much more. Alright, as most of you guys know, I'm doing a turbo build on my 8th gen Honda Civic automatic transmission. We plan on doing the most budget oriented turbo kit here with mostly direct bolt-on parts, so anybody can do this. We already installed Honda Civic SI fuel injectors. We got Honda as software for the whole turbo build, and everything's running smoothly right now. We're buying in more parts, right? We're gonna order the intercooler, the piping, the turbo, and on this video we're talking about the turbo options for your 8th gen Civic budget, of course, right? There's plenty of turbo kits that range from $3,000 to $5,000 that we'll go and talk about a little bit on this video. But no, we're not going towards those turbo kits because our cars are probably worth less than those turbo kits alone. And most likely, if you're not building it properly, those motors are gonna blow. So stay with me here. I'm doing a screen recording on my computer. I got a bunch of tabs open. I'm gonna try to run through every tab, talk to you guys about a couple of the pros and cons of a lot of things here, and hopefully you learn a lot in this video and see the setup that I'm going with. But as you can see right here, if you go on eBay, type in Honda Civic, R18 turbo kit, this is what you're going to be seeing: a TB25 turbo kit, and they go for anywhere from $660 to $720 US dollars, which it's not a bad turbo kit after all. And this turbo kit right here, the pro of this turbo kit is it's, for the most part, like I'm talking about the manifold and the turbo, it's a direct bolt-on. Like, we know our engine compartments are pretty tight, our AC compressors right there, or our alternators right there. This kit right here, this setup will fit. It's a direct bolt-on, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But this is the manifold that's very unique to this turbo kit, right? This TB25 downpipe that comes included with this turbo is very important. And this is one of the reasons why we're buying this turbo kit here. Let's go to the next slide right here. Next slide. This is, okay, I don't want to go to this slide. This is the turbo right here, boys. The turbo, the exhaust manifold right here, and the preliminary downpipe. You see how tight that downpipe is, boys? All that airflow is getting pushed out and kind of hitting like a 90-degree angle. It's like a roadblock. And at first, when I was looking at this turbo kit, I said, this is not gonna flow well. We're gonna get boost spikes like crazy because all that pressure is gonna build up and just build a lot of boost creep. It's not gonna regulate that boost pressure properly, and I was really worried about it. I looked through a ton of other setups, which there are a lot of different manifolds and downpipes, but the question is, do they fit or do they all need custom work? And we're trying to stay away from all that custom work on this build because, again, it's my first ever turbo project. We're not trying to go crazy. We're not trying to stress to get things completed in time. This is my daily driver. I need things just to work. My main concern is to get everything working, dialed in, running smooth and efficient. I don't care about the horsepower. Obviously, I want some more horsepower, but I don't care if it makes 50 more or 100 more. I can care less, right? I just need a reliable daily. So continuing on, this is what stands out. This Imusa downpipe and manifold is a must. And with this downpipe, right, I originally thought I can run different turbos, but I am mistaken. You cannot run multiple different turbos because the actual housing is different. The bolt pattern, right, the flange design is much different, and I'll show you guys that in a little bit. But if you're running this turbo, this baby snail right here, you need this downpipe manifold. And let's talk a little bit about that turbo. This is the TB25, guys. It's a baby snail. It's tiny, right? And we're talking about it's a oil cooled turbo and a water cooled turbo, which is good. At first I just plan to run oil lines. We're not going to run the coolant lines right away. We'll see how long it lasts that way. It's just a lot less plumbing for me, plus you can save a couple $100 here and there. Worst case scenario, if it does overheat, does blow some seals, we'll buy a replacement cartridge and we'll go from there, buy some coolant lines. Let's talk about the specs here, guys. Talk about the specs. It's a T25 flange design, right? So that turbo manifold that I'm going to show you right here, this manifold right here is a T25 style manifold, and you need a T25 style turbo to match that manifold, right? Let's keep going, guys. 250 horsepower capable, internal wastegates set to 8 psi. Now, these internal wastegates on these turbos are kind of hit or miss. Sometimes you can have a good wastegate and it actually holds right around 8-9 pounds of boost. I mean, the wastegate ports on these things are tiny. A lot of people will have to port out that hole in order to scavenge those exhaust gases properly, right? I actually do plan on buying a different internal wastegate with a lower psi setting. Again, I don't care about the power. 8 psi with boost spike, we're talking about 9 to 10 psi. That's something I don't want to push right now on the automatic transmission. And then you got a lot of specs here for the turbo, guys. You got your turbine, which is the hot side, and you got your compressor, which is the cold side. Here we got a few specs right here that I'm talking about. Turbine side AR of 0.49, and that's just the total diameter. I'll show you guys some overlay videos on that turbo I have right there and what specs that turbo is. That's a little bigger turbo than we will be running for sure, but this is the only turbo and these are the only specs that come with it that can work with our R18 with this turbo manifold. Now I'll compare these specs right now to the full race, right? I got a couple notes here, guys. The full race turbo that comes with their turbo kit, and I got their AR sizes, I got their inducer, exducer sizes, and everything plays a role on how much and how quickly the turbo will spool, how much air it's going to force into the engine, right? Exducer blades, inducer blades, the turbo AR all play a big role on turbo performance, spool time, and turbo exhaustion, right? If your turbo is too small at redline, we're going to be losing a lot of power. And if the turbo is too big at redline, we're going to be making a lot of power, but on the low end, we won't have as much spool and as much boost. The thing is, on a stock motor, you don't want to put too much boost on the vehicle right away at low RPMs, right? That's like a recipe for disaster. You kind of want the boost to come in gradually, but you really want that boost to be peaking in the higher RPM band just to make the car more efficient. And this is why I was really skeptical about this turbo, because this thing is such a small turbo, boost kicks in right away. I'm talking about 25 to 3,000 RPMs. We are in full boost, which is great if the rods will handle it. And that's something we're going to have to find out. I'm sure people have done it before and did okay up to a certain point. But originally I wanted to get a turbo with a bigger AR spec, you know, so it doesn't spool as fast. I'd be fine with the car spooling at like 3,500 RPMs and pulling all the way to redline. But with this turbo, we're going to get that instant hit, and whatever amount of boost we can hold to redline, it is what it is. If you guys know what I'm saying, sorry if I'm talking a lot and all over the place. There's just a lot to cover on this topic here. So again, this is the manifold I'm going with. This is the turbo I'm going with. Again, for the ease of installation, right? We want it to install easily and fit properly. As we keep going, this part, again, I'm piecing this turbo kit together because I can piece it cheaper than whatever the cost of the whole kit is, right? And everything counts, everything's budgeted. So like I said, budget build, baby. There's a lot of turbo manifolds you can find online, right? Like right here, we got another turbo manifold that we can see, and this one incorporates a external wastegate, right? An external wastegate is more efficient to regulate boost pressure because it just works better than the small internal wastegates with the small exhaust ports that they have on the internal wastegates. But the problem here is with the external ones, your wastegate actuators are probably more expensive, and you're going to need more piping. You're going to have to do either a open wastegate tube to dump the wastegate pressure, or feed that tube back into the exhaust. And that's just, again, something that involves a lot more work. It is more efficient, but for low boost, our internal wastegate will be just fine. So that's why we stuck with the other turbo manifold. And again, this one doesn't even come with a downpipe, so you're really on your own when it comes to modifying and fabricating a downpipe. The next exhaust manifold we can see on eBay is this one by Kinugawa. Again, this is a decent, manifold. Again, external wastegate here. You can probably patch this hole up with a plate and run it as a regular turbo manifold. I've seen some people do that if you want to go that route. The good thing about this one is it actually is curved to the right, so it's actually moving the whole turbo assembly where it's sitting towards the driver's side of the car, which is great because, again, there's really no room for that downpipe to go because of our AC compressor, which is always just too tight. So this is a good option. But again, unless you're getting a custom fabricated downpipe, this isn't going to give you much of a benefit, right? Because you can run this manifold and you can still run that turbo, the TB25. And you can buy, I don't know why you would, but you can still buy this third downpipe here. You can still buy this separately, let's say, and put it on the turbo with that manifold. But you're not going to get any performance gains. You're just moving everything to the right, but it's still a restrictive exhaust downpipe, right? So I'm exiting out of all these manifolds, right? I'm choosing the best one for me, which is the Amusa one, the two-piece Amusa one. You can go as crazy and custom as you want. I've seen a lot of people doing custom manifolds, adapter conversions from T25 to T this to T3 turbo. So much things you could do, but again, the more custom you go, you need custom work, custom fabrication, more money out your bank account. Not interested. So let's keep going. Full Race, perfect example. This is the most reputable probably company that created a turbo build for our car. You can see how their manifold moves the whole turbine housing all the way to the driver's side here, so they can fit this, look, I don't know, 2.5-3 inch downpipe right here. It's nice smooth curve, nice smooth airflow out of the vehicle, just efficient, very nice, but very expensive. Again, this kit right here, $3 to $4 grand. Sorry, but I'm not interested in that. If that's the route you want to take, no problem, you can do that. You'll have a much better efficient turbo kit for sure, no doubt about that. It all depends how much you want to spend on the turbo build. And again, you can see that Full Race manifold, and you got a lot of space there. But again, a lot of people remove their ACs, and then you got more options and more possibilities, right, with some custom work. But the TSI turbo kit that came with these cars, right, it came with a Garrett turbo, also had this Amusa downpipe and turbo manifold, right? And a lot of people liked it. A lot of people ran with it and had no problems. And I'm actually looking at some power dyno graphs here from the TSI kit, for example, and boost, you can see that right there. Boost spikes instantly, right? Like 2700 RPMs. We're at full boost. Carries boost pretty steadily. A little spike here in probably boost pressure. That's why you see that little bump. And then because of our engine's volumetric efficiency, we just, after around 4,500 RPMs, our torque drops. And that's nothing we can do, right? Unless you get a big turbo to support that torque over there. This small turbo, again, it's all about the mid-range right here. Spools quickly, has a good efficiency range right here, but in the higher RPMs, it's just not as efficient. The good thing is our horsepower is going all the way to redline, so we're making power under the curve everywhere. Again, torque is going to be increased greatly right in the mid-range right here. So again, that just proves my point. Even though I thought the boost would be spiking tremendously, the airflow wouldn't be good at all because of that tight 90 on that manifold. But the dyno graphs on these builds don't show me that. So I'm pretty confident it will do just fine on low boost. Here is a dyno graph of the full race turbo kit. As you can see, that dyno chart doesn't pick up as fast as this one. You see, this one's just straight up. Because we're going to be running a smaller turbo, our boost will kick in faster, and it shouldn't be an issue. Again, these boost spikes I was afraid of, but I'm not seeing it. And I think with me porting the wastegate holes, right, with the wastegate holes and everything, I don't think we will have a problem. Now, just to summarize what I've talked to, there's a lot of turbo manifolds and turbo kits and potential Frankenstein builds that you can do on this car. Again, as a direct bolt-on, we're using whatever the eBay turbo comes with, right, which is the TB25 turbo, right? We're using the same turbo manifold by Amusa that comes with our downpipe, because that's the biggest criteria to make this turbo fit with a downpipe, right? Because of our AC compressor. And again, we don't exhibit any boost spikes or anything crazy running this manifold. So if you're running anywhere from 5 to 10 pounds of boost, I think you'll be okay here, and that's what we're shooting for. In the case let's say you already don't have your AC, right? You still want to go budget, but you don't have your AC. You can afford to pay someone to do a custom downpipe on your vehicle. Then you have another option, right? We have a chance to get a bigger turbo in here without going all out and paying so much money for a full race or whatever kit. And this is what you have to do, guys. This turbo right here, it's also a T25 turbo. There's all cheap turbos on eBay, but you guys can definitely run them. There's no problems with the eBay turbo kits. Yeah, they don't last probably as long, but they're so cheap you can just get another one. Compared to our compressor housing and turbine housing, these are much bigger, right? So essentially I wanted a turbo like this. I was going for something with a 0.6 AR compressor and turbine, but again, those turbos wouldn't fit that downpipe for the Amusa manifold. So if you want to run a bigger turbo, GT28, T25, or T28, whatever, they go by so many names right here. If you want to run any of these series of turbos, you definitely can run it still, right, with the Amusa top downpipe or manifold. But as far as the downpipe, you're going to have to get something like this, which is a SR20 downpipe, right? And that's great because you still get a flange, you still get a downpipe. This one actually comes with a downpipe / screamer pipe. And then you can have a welder weld another piece of that in to go into your exhaust and flow out. Now, the reason these turbos and everything won't fit together is because right here on the left, you see this is my TB25. And you can see the flange. They're both 5-bolt flanges. But look at the difference. The TB25, look at the spacing between these two. And even 3. Look at the spacing here. And look at the GTs and the T28 spacing. They're completely different. And they just won't work. It just won't work. So if you want the TB25, you're going to have to stick with this manifold and downpipe, right? This is the only downpipe here that will work with TB25 turbo. If you try to put this downpipe into that T28, it just won't fit, and now you got an open turbo and you can't run your car with the open turbo. Okay, so again, if you do want to go for the bigger turbo, the T28s, GTs, the only thing that works and is a nice direct bolt-on here to get you started is SR20 turbo manifold or turbo exhaust downpipe here. This is what's going to get you going. Again, make sure you get some custom work there to get fabricated. And this definitely won't fit with an AC compressor, so you guys have to remove that AC compressor if you want to get this little bigger turbo and pipe in there. I know a lot of people aren't running any ACs, but I'm running an AC. I want to keep the AC, and as you guys can see from this picture, a lot of people still do custom work, right? AC's removed, or no, actually AC's in on this one. But yeah, you can get as custom as you want. But again, guys, in summary, if you guys want to stay budget, the eBay turbo kit is a great little turbo. It should get you going, and it's very budget oriented, direct bolt on. So for anyone looking to just install a turbo without going crazy with cutting, bolting parts up that don't fit, get the eBay turbo. If you want to upgrade a little bit, get the T28 series turbos with the SR20 downpipe, right? And those are my two best recommendations for turboing the R18. Those are the two turbo kit series that I would recommend. I will be ordering these parts this coming month. I'm excited. Hopefully you guys are excited too. We still got to do a lot of videos on turbo clocking, boring out the wastegate hole, making sure all our little fittings that we buy are appropriate, right, with the correct NTP sizes and all the bolts. And anyway, I'm excited, but slowly and surely this is all coming together. Sorry if this is a long video and I'm all over the place, but if you guys appreciate the video and the content and the information, I did so much searching on Facebook, online, forums, left and right for a couple months just to absorb this information. So hopefully this saves you a lot of time doing that, right? And there's a lot of good people out there, right, on Facebook, on those groups that we're in. So many people helped me out, gave me some advice, because again, when I started, I was just clueless about a lot of these things, what works, what doesn't work. So after months of gathering all this information, I'm bringing that information out to you guys. Anyway, time to edit this video. So I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
I ain't here for the money, I ain't here for the fame. Though it might be nice to own a jet plane, I'ma do it all for you. Come along and see